Hey guys, welcome back. So today I want to talk about how to convert objects to XML. Now this is going to be pretty similar to how we converted objects to JSON as you've seen in my previous videos, but it's done in a slightly different way. So to get started, the first thing we need to talk about is JAXB. Now this stands for Java Architecture for XML Binding, and it's basically an API for managing XML and Java binding. So before we start converting objects to XML, the first thing we need to know are these things that you see below. We need to know about JAXB context. Now this is basically an abstract class that consists of methods that are used for managing XML and Java binding. And another way to explain it is that it's used to connect Java and XML so that the Java objects can relate to that XML content. Another thing I want to talk about is the marshaller. Now, the marshaller is another object within JAXB that is used for converting a Java object to XML file or a string. Another thing that we need to know is how to understand the relationship between XML and Java objects. Once again, just like I've explained in my previous video, there has to be a certain level of understanding when it comes to relating XML to the Java objects that you're going to construct. And the last thing we need are these jar files, the jaxb-api.jar and jaxb-impl.jar. But we're working with Eclipse, and Eclipse comes with the JRE library, which already includes all the files that you need in order to do this. Alright, so what we're going to be doing is converting objects to XML. Now, as I said before, this is pretty similar to what I've done in my previous videos where I converted objects to JSON, and we're pretty much going to do this the same way. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what our XML is going to look like. After we figure out what our XML is going to look like, we will have to create an object that is built in the structure of the XML that we want. So if we look at this XML right here, this XML first starts off with a root element called question. All right, so since this is a root element, question will be a class. Now inside this question, we're going inside this question class, we're going to have three attributes. The first attribute is going to be an ID. The second attribute will be an array list of answers. And the reason that this is an array list is because we have two elements within this question that are of the same type. So that's one good thing to remember. If you have two of the same element in a class, then you would have to know that these answers right here are going to be an array. So in this question class, you're going to have to add a data member of array which holds answer objects. And then inside these answer objects, we're going to add three other data members: answer name, ID, as well as posted by. All right, so for the last data member that we're going to have within this question class, we're going to have this question name, which is going to be a string because it simply just holds a string, which is what is Java. So those are the three data members that we're going to have within the question class. We're going to have the ID, we're going to have an array list that holds answer elements, and then we're going to have a string called question name. And that's pretty much how we're going to structure our object and then create some XML out of it. So, you know what time it is? Time to code. Here I have myself an empty project. As you can see, we have our application object already created. And the first thing that we want to do is create ourselves a question class. Now, the reason we're creating this class is because it is a root element, and from there we're going to start adding each one of these data members. So first start off, right click, new class question. All right, so inside of this question class, we want to start adding our data members, and we're going to do that like this. Put this side by side so we can see everything. All right, so we need an ID, we need an answers array, as well as a string question name. All right, so we're going to go public int ID, public array list answers, and we want to import array list as well as create ourselves a class of answer. And we're gonna close this out. We'll get back to that a little bit later. And we need a question name. So we want to make each one of these private. I think we're using JAXB. If you don't label them as private, you get errors. All right, and we want a string question name. And then after this, we just want to add an empty constructor as well as another constructor where we can pass in each one of these values. So public question, and now we're actually going to create ourselves another constructor. And then for this constructor, we're going to be passing in some parameters. String int, well, what am I doing? Int ID, array list, answers, and then just a string question name. All right, and then from here, we just want to associate each one of the data members with the values passed in. So this dot ID equals ID, this dot answers equals answers, and this dot question name equals question name. Okay, and now after this, we just want to add our getter and setter methods. Source, getter and setter, select all, go to OK. All right, so this is the construction of our class here of question. As you can see, we have our three data members as well as our constructors with their the associated getter and setter methods for each one of the data members up here. Now, after we do this, we actually want to go up to the top of the class and add this annotation that's called Xml Root Element. This is just used to mark the class as a root element. And since this question is a root element, we just want to mark this class as a root element so that JAXB can understand, how this class relates to XML, pretty much. Now we actually want to go down here as well on top of this get ID, and we want to annotate that with XML Attribute. And pretty obvious, this attribute right here in question, this is an attribute of question, so we want to annotate this with attribute, whereas the array list as well as a string down here will be annotated with XML element. So we want to do that now. XML element, and we just want to do the same thing for our get question name. XML element. Okay. So we're pretty much done with this class. Now we want to make our way to this answer class that we created before. And then from here, we just want to start adding each one of our data members. So I'm going to put this side by side one more time. Okay. So in this answer class, what we have is, first of all, answer name. Well, we have answer name, ID, and posted by. The first thing we're going to write is the ID, actually. So private int ID, private string answer name, private string posted by. Okay. Now, what we need to do next is do the same thing that we did in question. We're going to add two constructors. Answer. And then from here, we just want to go up to this answer and then actually relate each one of the data members to the values that's passed in. So we want to go int ID string answer name string posted by. All right, then we want to go this.id equals ID, this.answer name equals answer name, this.posted by equals posted by. All right, so after this, we just want to add getter and setter methods for each one of these data members. Go here, right click, source, generate getters and setters, select all, go to OK. And this is pretty much all we need to add for our answers. From here, we don't have to really annotate anything within this class. We've already done our annotation within this question. This is the XML Root Element. We've already labeled this get answers as an element. And this is pretty much it. We have our answers class, we have our question class. Now what we need to do is actually go back to this application object class now. Now, the first thing that we need to do in our application object class is to first of all create ourselves an instance of question. So we will go question equals new question, and then from here we would pass in some information about the question that we have. So we actually want to go here, look at what we have. So if we want to construct this type of XML, this is how we will set it up. So in our question, we would first of all be passing in an int, an ID. We'll pass in an ID and array list of answers, as well as this question name. So we're going to do that now. All right, so question ID, we have 1. After that, we're going to be looking for answer, which I'm going to add later. And then last, I'm going to add this question name, which is what is Java. All right, so for the construction of this array list that we're passing in, we first of all have to create ourselves an array list. Array list, type answer, answers equals new array list. And then from here, we just want to add elements for this answers array. So answers dot add new answer. We want to pass in ID, answer name, as well as posted by. So if you look to the right here, the ID, the first element here, is going to be 101. So we're going to go 101. And then the next thing, answer name. Java is a programming language. And the last thing we need to add is posted by. And that question was posted by Ravi. And then we just want to add ourselves another element to this array. And what we want to do is to change the ID. You see over here, 102. Now, another thing we need to add is the answer. Java is a platform. Java is a platform. And then this was posted by John. All right, so with this, we've constructed our question object. And after we construct our question object, we want to create this thing called string writer. There's new string writer. All right, now this string writer is going to help us convert the object that we just created to a string. So after we do this, we want to first of all use our JAXB context. And as I said, the JAXB context is a class that's used for managing XML and Java binding. So it's going to bind the classes that we created with XML that we want. So JAXB context equals JAXB context.new instance, and then just the name of our question class, question.class. All right, we need our try catch surrounding this to catch that JAXB exception. All right, now after this, we want to create our marshaller. JAXB marshaller. And as you remember my presentation, this marshaller was used to convert, a Java object to an XML file or a string. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So we go marshaller, JAXB marshaller, and then we want to set that equal to JAXB context.create marshaller. After we do that, we want to go JAXB marshaller.marshal question, and then from here we want to pass in SW, which is going to be our string writer. Okay, so after we do this, we just want to create ourselves a string XML string. This string is going to hold our XML. I'm going to set this equal to sw.toString. All right, then simply we just want to go sys out XML string. And this is pretty much it right here. Now, as you see here, the first thing we've done, we've created ourselves an array list that we're going to be passing to this question object that we just created. We then have a string writer that is going to help us convert this to some XML. And then we've created our JAXB context, an instance of JAXB context, and from here we're just passing in the question class. After that, our marshaller, which is going to help us convert that actual class to a string. Then from there, we're just marshalling this class as well as the string writer that we created earlier. And then from here, we're just converting it to a string. And now, just going to run this application, see what we get. And we get our XML right here. And it just compare everything to make sure that it looks the same. There's actually something online called XML formatter. We want to format this, and we just want to make sure that everything matches up. So we're going to put this right next to here. Okay, we got XML version. We have this up here. We also have the question. ID is 1. Answer. Java is a programming language 101 by Ravi. Then we have another element of answer. Java is a platform, ID 102, posted by John, and then what is Java? All right, so that's how you would go about converting an object to XML. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you've learned something from here. Also, don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next one.